Hello, my name is Lev Nelik, and first of all, I want to make a disclaimer. Everything I said, will say, or am saying is not does not carry any official approbation by anybody. This is just my ideas, and I would haste to add that I'm basically Aretz, not a very educated Jew, but I have my feelings and thoughts, and recently, we have started a class, a discussion group with people like me, who are also not necessarily very knowledgeable in Judaism, but wanted to know about what is Judaism really is, and people are kind of a guide to the perplexed or confused, if you will. Um, how does official Torah observancy fits in with midot, manners and personal characteristics, measurements, midot? Um, how does the whole thing fit together? Why do we sometimes feel very comfortable in certain places and some synagogues and some homes and some environments, and some other times we may not be feeling so comfortable? And I come across a situation where people talk about it, and also they mentioned that they really don't talk fully what's on their mind because social norms and being shy and being hesitant about really to speak your mind. So I just wanted to set the stage for what we have recently started in Atlanta. And by the way, my wife and I recently made Aliyah to Israel. And we kind of live on two continents, in Israel, in Beersheba, and in Atlanta, US. Eventually transiting fully into Israel, but I'm recording from Atlanta. We have a wonderful community in Atlanta. Kind of, in my estimate, again, disclaimer, a mix of the perplexed, if you will. So we started this group, and we call it group number 7, discussion group number 7. It's also called soul therapy or midot studies. We meet every Sunday for an hour from 9 to 10, right after Shachrit. And we basically have no particular agenda, no objectives, no time. In other words, nothing really classically American way of we're starting today and we have 4 weeks class and this is accomplishment and this is a test and how you passed it. But the material we use, basically, obviously as Jews, our number one thing is the Torah and all associated material with it, Tanakh, Psalms, Talmud, Shulchan Aruch, Kabbalah, Zohar, whatever, that's where we're going by as our credo, if you will. But we also talk about things that are not a formal education, kind of informal. Things like Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto talks about spiritually what makes a person heart to heart. And we're also using the new book recently published called Olam Hamidot, by Rabbi Moshe Don Kestenbaum. And quite frankly, this book made a great impression on me, and I got it from Mike, my friend, who recommended it when I picked it up. Fell in love with the book. So we're using our weekly discussions on that. And a couple of people asked me to actually video that presentation and kind of set up the stage so that we understand what's our objectives, if we have any objectives. So I want to say this. Many people say, well, I feel very comfortable in this show. As mentioned, sometimes I don't feel comfortable, and we try to understand why. So in my uneducated Jewish background, knowledge, I look at American Judaism. I'm going to focus on American Judaism. What is American Judaism? Who knows? I'm not talking about different groups. Orthodox, conservative, reform, non-affiliated, non-religious, religious, observant, non-observant, but basically 6 million Jews, roughly 5-6 million Jews, loosely defined, if you will, in America. What's the commonality and differences? So when you think about the history when Jews came to America, that's what I understand it. 150 years ago when they first came, until now, it's approximately 4 or 5 generations past. The first generation was very observant Jews from Poland, Russia, and they came to Brooklyn and areas like that, and they had children, and their children were observant, but already somewhat Americanized, kind of started to become a little bit shy and uncomfortable about their Judaism, they want to be Americanized, like Egypt, Babylon, Spain, Germany comes to mind. Eventually, the grandchildren of the first incomers didn't know much about the Judaism. That's maybe 40s, 50s. But then their children, I mean, they kind of didn't want much to do with that. And I'm very generalizing. But the children, the fourth generation, great-grandchildren, and then one more, which we have today in America. That generation no longer knew their grandpa or great-grandpa. And the revitalization of Judaism started. So initially the Jews, or observant Jews, came to America and started to diffuse, assimilate, and kind of disappear. And it got to the point that separations came to the point that the fourth generation said, wait a minute, what's happening to us? So two things happened. Those who want to come back to religion went one way, one stream, and then the second one basically continues to disappear. So we have two groups, if you will, in very specific terms. And of course, the advent of yeshiva in America in the last maybe 30, 40 years was a big step into reestablishing, saving, if you will, American Jews from full assimilation. So there's many very distinguished rabbis that had been very instrumental to this revitalization of the Judaism. Many, Moshe Feinstein and on you can mention, but if you pick one, perhaps Rabbi Soloveitchik could probably, and there are some controversial things about everybody. So he had certain opinions and views towards non-Orthodox Judaism, Zionism, this and that, like we all have our views. But fundamentally, that will be, I guess to me, stereotype of a typical yeshiva, traditional approach to Judaism. You have to study Torah, you have to study Talmud all day long, and if it's 24 hours a day, 25 hours a day, not enough, you should add a couple of more hours to that, so 27 hours would be a good thing. There could also be, depending on different stages of his life, as I understand it, how the secular studies, physics, mathematics fit to that. Is it good? It's not good. Complicated issue. But that's one side, traditional Judaism. And when you go into many people, as I heard, when you go to a synagogue, and if you really grew up not very observant, and you want to discover something, what are my roots? You come to synagogue, and many people will tell me that I don't really feel comfortable. It doesn't talk to me. I have a bunch of guys with black hats or semi-black hats sitting and studying Talmud all day long, and if I tell them, listen, I got a problem with my wife, my kids, my work, this and that, and I want somebody to talk to me. Okay, pick up a Gemara and we'll study Baba Metzia or Sanhedrin, and once you study that, everything will work out. That's a medicine, that's a cure for all problems for the Jews. Many people feel comfortable with that approach, and perhaps that's right. And some people say, you know what, that's the last time I step my foot to the synagogue, if that's the answer. Some people feel like that. So another approach will be what's said not to the mind or to the heart, so to speak. So when you think about, let's say, another personality, that's Alta Slabotka, Rabbi Nosson Tzvi Finken. And he is kind of roughly contemporary of Yosef Soloveitchik. Soloveitchik died in 1993 in Boston. Slobodka died in Jerusalem in 1927. So he's a little bit younger than Soloveitchik, if you will, but you can kind of compare one approach, Torah, Talmud, Yeshiva, versus, does anybody understand? Do you understand what I have? That's kind of Rabbi Finkel, Alter Slobodka. So that feeling of understanding and relating, human factor, if you will, the search that many have, comes into Musar, essentially. But Musar also can be sought in two ways. Again, this is not rabbinical dissertation. This is just my feelings about it. And please correct me. I want to be corrected. I want to be corrected. Very much so. My impression is this. So when Luzzatto traditionally will talk about Musar, as many Orthodox rabbis will tell you, Haredi, that those people lock themselves in a room and all day long for hours, I'm nothing, I'm nothing, I'm dust, I'm nothing. And the whole idea was to break yourself completely to contrast to the extreme a human towards God. And how, like in the army, the sergeant says, who is your mother? Who is your father? I'm your mother, I'm your father. Do what I say, 100 push-ups, boo, 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 boo. So the idea is to break the person down, and then eventually you'll be clear and open to the Musar, to understanding. You will absorb, you will drink Hashem with your body, with your soul. That's how it will come to you. That's very free explanation. Well, Rabbi Moshe Kistenbaum essentially follows kind of Tzvi Finkel's Alter Slobodka idea by saying, wait a minute, it's not like this. And he said, and this is in his book, he's saying in the introduction that studying Musar, we are all blessed with flaws. That's his introduction. And he's saying studying Musar is unfortunately misunderstood and therefore often avoided. Musar is not about putting a person down and making him sad. It's about uplifting him and making him happy. It opens his eyes to the greatness and the greatness of those around him. It shows him that he is not just flesh and blood who worries about his supper, but a lofty and spiritual soul who can accomplish so much with his life. How fortunate is the person who brings Musar into his life. We just started using this book, and we every Sunday for about read a couple of pages, and the author, Rabbi Kistenbaum, suggests don't read too much, just take it easy. This is not objectives of the yeshiva time. If I'm standing in a bus stop, I have to read Gemara, and then there'll be a test, and if I only learn 17 tractates, I really should try to learn 18. He doesn't go necessarily to this road. He's saying the another side, the Musar, the heart, is very important. And he said, I noted here, that he said that Torah, what's Torah? What's the objective? And I always thought about myself, what's the purpose of life? And I think many religious, observant people would say, well, the purpose of us being on earth is to acknowledge Hashem, to learn Torah. Learn Torah, that's our objective. I never feel comfortable with that, as I understand how important Torah is. I'm not disagreeing. But a process of doing something is not the ultimate objective to me. The ultimate objective that Rabbi Kistenbaum is saying in his book is using the Torah as a mechanism to refine yourself. In other words, our objective is to be on earth. We're not angels. Torah is not given to angels, given to us because we're imperfect. Because we need to improve our midos. And he said that Vilna Gaon said the reason a person is alive is so that he can correct a midah that has not yet been rectified. He is saying that that's a mechanism. So yeah, we have to learn Torah, but the reason why, because ultimately we'll behave to each other. If you're sitting on a desk at yeshiva and you're studying Talmud all day long, and the old lady needs to cross the street or buy sour cream or the bread, and you said, sorry, I don't have time right now. We really have a big Gemara to study. My understanding, what Rabbi Kestenbaum would say, you have no Torah. You know a lot about Torah, but you don't really know anything about Torah. That's his position. And he's saying that a person who learns Torah but does not rectify his midos properly is not considered to be truly engaged in Torah. Character flaws, not their lack of toil in Torah, is a reason the angels will say that the Jews are not engaged in Torah. So, a couple of topics we had put here is what's midot? How's it different from manners? I have a problem. Can somebody help? So we're sitting in class and group, and this is what I want to say. Someone has a problem. Can I help? We're all blessed with flaws. Self-improvement through Musar is not primarily achieved from sitting in front of the Sefer. What's the reason the person is alive? The person who learns Torah but does not rectify midos is not considered truly engaged in Torah. And again, midos is not just refining the traits, but actually being good to other people. How to lead your life to control your anger, not to be angry, not to be affected by the offenses and to become angry. How to treat your wife, to treat your husband, to treat your fellow human being better. How do you interact with the world? Why am I here? Does anybody care? He said, woe to those who occupy themselves with the study of Torah yet lack fear of heaven. Just think of it. Woe to those who occupy themselves with the study of Torah yet lack fear of heaven. Torah is merely a gate through which one reaches fear of heaven. Torah is life-giving medicine for him or for her. But if he or she not deserving, it becomes a drug of death. Probably obvious to you. It shocked me. How can Torah be a drug of death? Torah can be a drug of death? He says it can be if it's not properly applied. If you have a very strong medicine and if you don't know how to handle it, then don't take it. We learn Torah for Torah's sake. Lishma. But what if you learn if not for Torah's sake? Okay, the Gemara, Talmud tells you, okay, that's fine too, not quite perfect, but start not for Torah's sake, and eventually you learn how to do Torah's sake. But it still doesn't answer the question. Do I feel comfortable in this environment? Why am I here? Does anybody care? Please help me. I want to sit in the synagogue and listen to rabbis' lectures, sometimes about Gemara, sometimes how to put tefillin, and sometimes about how to behave and what to do. Maybe not everybody wants to know that how many amot, how many feet they have to go across the boundary of the town. Is it 2,000 amot or 1,800? To some people, it's a very important question. Some people just want to know, how do I deal with my neighbor? I got a problem with my family. Somebody help me. That is a group that we have. And please let me know. How would you let me know? Send me the email. I guess the best way, if I give my phone, I guess I'll be already getting a lot of phone calls. So let's give my email. My email is lnelik, L-N-E-L-I-K, lnelik, at, and then a long word, pumping machinery, pumpingmachinery, pumpingmachinery.com, lnelik, L-N-E-L-I-K, lnelik at pumpingmachinery.com. Believe me, I just want to do something that makes somebody happy and feel better. Myself too. I asked a friend another day, do you have any anxiety? And he said, everybody does. I thought, do observant people have anxiety? Did Moshe Rabbeinu have an anxiety? Aaron had anxiety? Very religious people not supposed to have anxiety, I thought. They believe in God so much that everything comes from God, bad or good, oh God, no worries then. And a couple of rabbis told me, actually Hasidim, that it's not exactly true. Big tzaddikim have anxiety too. Even more so than a very simple Jew, uneducated. I thought about that, and I thought perhaps my understanding would be first, when you don't nothing about Torah, kind of grew up on none of Torah, have no anxiety, everything is easy. Then you start learning and you worry about it and you're in between. So you're subject to anxiety. Not because of the study of the Torah, but other things. Only when you go to really, really high level, to level of tzaddikim, like perhaps Rav Soloveitchik, or Rav Finkel, or Moshe Rabbeinu, maybe then you don't have anxiety. I don't know. I doubt I'll ever come even close to 5% or 1% of their level. And if that's the case, I'm probably doomed to have anxiety all my life. What do you think? Do you have a hope? Not to have anxiety. Do you have a hope not to have? Do you have anxiety? Yes. What is it? If you come to the synagogue for the lecture about what we were just talking about, what do you want Rabbi to tell you? Nice talk, L'chaim, which is, let's say, Hasidim. Well, Rabbi Soloveitchik, by the way, was a good friend of Chabad Rebbe. So this is kind of, you would say it's very dry, Haredi approach. No, he was very nice, warm human being. He had good relations with the Hasidim. So it's not all cut and dry. But how many people have sat? Oh, you might have sat in the lecture to Rabbi Soloveitchik or Rabbi Finkel. I haven't. And most people I know, they don't know who they are. So we don't have a luxury to go to Jerusalem or to Boston years back and listen to their lectures. We can only hear what we have today. And we want to hear something that makes us feel better, live better lives. It's a combination of a Torah studying lishma, for Torah's sake, or maybe even not for Torah's sake, with the Musar together, kind of makes an environment that the optimum that needs to be sought and established. It seems to me we have usually two extremes. Is it one or the other? Is it I am nothing, Hashem, I'm nothing? Or study, another pasuk. What does it say in Gemara? Let me look up in Psalms. What does it say? What does it say in Mishnah Berurah? Could be maybe a balance in between. Anyway, that's the first installment of our lectures. We met 2 times in our classes. This Sunday coming. So today is, by the way, what's today? Today is 20th of Teves, 5780. And for those who want to know in English calendar, it's the 17th of January 2020. And then day after tomorrow, after Shabbat on Sunday at 9 o'clock, we will get together for our 3rd lesson. And hopefully this video will give us a little background on what to talk about. And again, we want to learn Midos, but we also want to hear from each other if that's of interest. We might find out that after months and weeks and years, nobody cares to come to these classes. Maybe people want to take the classes how to build a shed or fix a lawnmower or become the pilot. Or maybe people just want to study Gemara. I mean, I didn't see it in most of the synagogues that I know. I'm not talking about Borough Park or Monsey or Jerusalem or the Har Nof. I'm talking about most of the places in America, like Atlanta, like Kansas City, like maybe Boston, where the typical modern Orthodox or semi-modern Orthodox or similar synagogue people really don't know much about it. Many of them have never took a Talmud in their hand and opened it and read it. So that's a starting point. I just wanted to set the stage for our lessons, and I would like to refine it. Maybe next Sunday I will do another video. By the way, we're thinking, some people suggested to do a video of our class. We do that actually in Beersheba. We have a little group, and we do these classes in Russian. believe it or not. And people want to video it, and we have a big audience that cannot come to classes and like to see the video. But here, people ask to record our classes, but some people feel uncomfortable to being recorded. So I decided for now not to record the class, but record you my own. Nobody would object me being on my own talking to you about the class. And the next Sunday, when I will do a little recording, I will tell you what happened in class and maybe what questions came up. So please let me know what questions you may have. If I can receive no questions, I will say, I guess nobody has questions. So maybe we shouldn't do this group. Maybe we should get together for something else. I have a feeling that a lot of people feel like that. I asked some people, how do you feel about it? And some people say, oh yeah, I fully agree. I feel just like that. How exactly do you feel? I don't know. Just something, I'm missing something. I'm looking for something. What is it? I can't put my finger on it. I would like to get to the point that we can put our finger on it and understand what is that exactly we're missing. If anything, I think there is something. Shabbat Shalom. Talk soon.